Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back for day 8 of our Survivor 47 preseason interviews. Today, we will hear from 2 more Survivor 47 contestants, Kyle and Sue, back here with the guy who talked to them in the preseason. Of course, give it up for Mike Bloom.
Yes, everybody listening is
Hi, Mike.
asking, hello, everyone's asking, you talking Tuku to me? And yes, we are talking Tuku today. 2 more people, Rob, Kyle, and Sue.
Okay. All right, Mike. Let's get into it. Of course, you know where to find these. Look, if you're not subscribed by now, then what are you waiting for? Come on. RobbinsWebsite.com/subscribe.
I mean, I'm really appreciating how the direction these pleas take day after day. It feels like you're going through the 5 stages of grief, Rob, sometimes when it comes to these pleas.
Yeah, I just am trying hard. You know, we're giving these podcasts away. Like, look, you know what? If I'm not gonna even ask anymore. You don't want to subscribe? Subscribers are closed. Subscribers are closed. No more.
Yes,
no
making
more.
it exclusive.
If you're not in yet, then I'm sorry, we're closed. No, we're not taking any more subscribers.
Basic economics create a subscriber scarcity, so it'll drive up demand.
Sorry, we're not taking any more, okay? You'll have to listen to every episode a la carte from here on out. Sorry, you snooze, you lose. All right, 2 people, surely, who won't lose, Mike. Kyle and Sue. We're going to start off talking about Kyle today. Kyle Ostwald, and seems like a very nice guy.
Very, very sweet guy. So Kyle Ostwald, he is 31 years old from Sheboygan, Michigan. He is a construction worker, but also works as a residential contractor. Who knows, Rob? Maybe if Survivor doesn't work out, he has a spot on Secret Celebrity Renovation.
Oh, my God. I mean, I would love to find a nice contractor.
I mean, do you take that has some baggage against you back in Panama about 20 years ago?
No, not even. Like, you know, a lot of these contractors, you know, after COVID, you know, everybody was looking for them. And now it's like, talk about supply and demand. They're like, hey, yeah, what do you want? You want me to, you know, change a light bulb? Yeah, that's going to be $700. Like,
yeah, well, it seems like Kyle is going to go for $1 million upcharge here. Maybe he'll do that with the shelter of like, hey, if you give me your idol, I'll add a light fixture onto the tree over here.
Okay. All right. I'd listen. All right.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Mike, let's check out your interview with Kyle, and then let's come back and talk about it.
Well, let's start things off easy. Why don't you give me your name, your age, and your occupation?
I'm Kyle Wren. I'm 31 years old, and I'm a residential contractor.
So what does that involve? Is it the same thing as what you usually think of when you think of contracting?
It's pretty typical. I get myself involved a lot. I'm a small business owner, and I like to fool around with things. So I get a bunch of random calls from like pouring concrete to standing studs to building roofs over houses. Like, you name it, I'll get into it. Nothing really scares me, so.
Yeah, so then what brings you from working on houses to probably constructing a shelter in a matter of days? What made you decide that Survivor was going to be the next project you're working on?
Well, not only was the show attractive, but I think that I've got what it takes to be a physical competitor in the game. But ultimately, the ability to go after something called financial stability for my family is like my biggest highlight for this. I'm a huge family person. I will sacrifice anything under the sun for my family. And when you talk about the ability to win such a prize on this show, it could open up the door for not only financial stability for my family now, but if done correctly, I truly believe that it could create a generational wealth for my family's family and just continue down the line. So why not?
Yeah, talk to me about your family. How was that closeness really built?
So when I grew up, I was born into a seriously broke family. I mean, from addiction and alcoholism to suicidal deaths, and I mean, you name it, my family's probably been through it. So growing up, I was challenged a lot, and I ended up meeting my forever fiance, Shania, 11 years ago. We've been together every single day since, and
Wow.
I've created with her something that I never had. Just over a year ago, we gave birth to our daughter Ellie. We like to call her.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And in August, we actually have a little boy due. So we'll be adding one more to the pack. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
Is this something you plan on telling people? Because I know that Jeremy Collins did it back in the day.
Yeah, man, I'll tell anybody. Man, I'm so proud of it. I'll share that with anybody I can. I mean, to go from not having that to being able to hold that to every single day, day in and day out, I mean, it's remarkable. And when I say I love my family, I mean I love them. Like Shania and I, we've traveled in a van for over 6 years together. We've lived in campers. We've done some pretty wild shit. And the first time that I actually came to LA for an interview was the first time that I ever spent a night away from her. So for 11 years in the van, out of the van, whatever it may be, we always came home to each other and we always woke up together because that's just how a good family is for me.
So how are you doing right now? Because obviously, if that was the first night away, you've had several since, and you will have several more. Are you
Yeah.
doing all right now?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It does get a little heavy on the heart at times, but I'm not a gambling man, but if I was gonna gamble, this is a spot where I'd do it, you know, and this amount of time away from them could ultimately unlock the box to allow so much more time with them. So when it does get heavy, I just remember where my head's at and why I'm here and who I'm here for, and it's full steam ahead.
Well, let's look upon Survivor history to tell me a bit more about you. Give me one Survivor winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most.
All right. I believe JT, he's
Hmm.
a old school, man, old school survivor. But he's just kind of a good old boy. You know, he wasn't really in it to just like make people's life hell. He was just there to have a good time and because, you know, he believed in himself and he believed in what he was after. And he played a game that didn't really make people feel uncomfortable. They didn't break trust with him or anything like that. And that's kind of the gameplay I would like to have, something that's pretty truthful, something that has a little integrity and honesty behind it. I understand it's not always possible in a game of deceit, but those are the lines I want to try to follow. Um, and as far as a non-winner, I hate to say it, but my man Jesse from season 43, he was
Mm,
my survivor that pick. Um, and you know, he made it really far and you know, it's like he was there for his family. And
right.
when that player challenge came about and it didn't quite pull through for him, it's like when you see somebody go underwater and you start holding your breath for him. And then when he didn't make it and you seen him take that big breath and you could just feel that emotion get chalked in his throat because he felt like he, you know, kind of he felt that sense there. He wasn't crossing the finish line like he intended, but he was there for his family and he gave it everything he had and he did a really good job.
So obviously you have a history in construction. You talked about the physical aspects of the game. So are you really gonna come in, especially in the tribe phase, and really just present yourself as like the camp life guy, the one to go to for all the challenges early on?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't step on people's toes. You know, I don't
Hmm.
want everybody's here because they're chasing a dream or they're on the adventure of a lifetime. And if there's somebody that just really wants to do something, I'm not going to try to shun them to the side and say, "Listen, like I do this for a living, you don't, just let me take it." I'm going to I'm going to let them do what they want. And if I see failure in the future, I'm going to fail with them because I want them to have a good time. I want them to enjoy themselves and I want to enjoy myself. And if I can see it coming, I know it's coming. I'm not really worried about it. And if all else fails at the end of that, I will put my 2 cents in and I will try to do what I can to make things happen in a constructive manner for sure.
Yeah, definitely pun intended on constructive. Can you give me what's your biggest superpower and your biggest piece of kryptonite in your life that you're bringing into the game?
My biggest superpower and my biggest kryptonite. My biggest kryptonite would be I always want to see people happy. I
Mm,
don't like causing pain. I don't like causing distress. Having to jump through all the hoops and the different challenges I've had to do growing up and all the sadness and shit along the way. Like the last thing I want to do is hurt people or make people feel like they're not going to achieve their dreams. I'm always there to help you. That's part of why I got into construction is because you need help. And when you need help, I'm the guy that's willing to jump at the bit. Even if I don't know what's going on, I'll learn it. I'll figure it out. So that way you have that peace of mind in the end. So that's going to probably be my biggest kryptonite is having to do things I don't want to do that could cause people emotional distress.
mm,
My biggest superpower, I think, is going to be my kindness.
mm.
I have a way, my social game with my personality, it has a way that, I mean, without even trying, a lot of the times it will just manipulate itself into your life. You'll just want more. You'll feel like you need to have more. And this is I've done everything from diving in dumpsters and eating dinner that we've pulled from the dumpsters to riding out in California on $1 million yachts just off of conversation and conversation alone. And I'm not afraid to eat garbage out of the dumpster with a hippie, and I'm not afraid to go out on the ocean with a businessman in a suit. I mean, from the bottom to the top, I can find a way to mingle.
Well, let's talk about an exercise perhaps in that kindness. So I imagine you've been around these people for a few days. Even if you haven't talked, you certainly have been vibing with some people. Who are some individuals that, if you hit the beach, like best case scenario, you're my day one ride or die?
Oh man, that's tough because like they you don't know anybody's names. All you like at most you get like a little smirk here or there or something like that. Um the amount of traveling that I've done and the different social classes and things that I've intertwined myself with, I've really got a good idea for different personalities and just like
Mhm.
that exist in the world. So I've been able to pick up a little bit of that, whether it's true or not. I have a feel on some, but there's I don't even know how to explain them. There's one girl and one guy that I found so far that I just have really good vibes about. I really hope that they're on a tribe with me. Um, I don't I don't even
Yeah,
know
just
how to.
describe them to me. I want to. What are they wearing today? What color is their hair? We can try to put the pieces together.
Okay, so the one girl, she's got like a nose piercing.
Okay.
Um, I think she's got green pants on today, maybe a brown top. She's got like kind of frizzy big hair that she
Hmm.
wears up, or when she lets it down, it's just like uber long. Um, the guy, he is like, I don't know, how do you explain it? He's he seems like he's in touch with himself. He's physically fit, but not like muscular, beefy kind of physically fit. He just looks like somebody that would take care of themselves and is open to people as they are, not necessarily classifying people. He just looks like a very open person.
Mm.
So it's pretty attractive in a is a personality trait, especially in this game.
Now, I know you said that you don't want to necessarily hurt people. I will ask you though: is there anyone else that, as you said, you're a good study of different personality types? Is there a personality type you're picking up on right now that might not be someone you'd vibe with on a tribe?
There's a few people here that just don't show emotion, man. Like I don't
Mm.
it's their gameplay or what it is, but like I like to smile. And when I look at you, I like to smile. And smiles are contagious. And some of these people don't pick up smile at all. And so it just the lack of emotion and like it just makes me wonder like, what is your personality type? Like I have no idea at this point. I'm so excited to see what it is, and I hope that something becomes of it because I'd like to work with some of them. But as far as that lack of emotion, I'm just like, I don't know where you stand, and I don't know if that can be trusted because like good energy bonds with good energy. And if I'm throwing energy at you and you're not picking up any of it, what do I do with that?
What is the biggest thing that you've picked up on from the past two seasons, so 45 and 46, that you want to incorporate into your game in 47?
The biggest things I've picked up on is probably that I'm not so certain that making big moves right away is a position you want to be in. I'm not so sure that you want to be ahead of the pack on the front line. As attractive as that may sound for like a resume for the jury or something like that further down the line, I think at this point with this new era, it's kind of important to just kind of like be a part of something big, not necessarily lead something big. So understand where you need to be with a group that's moving and doing something, but always having kind of that meat shield per se that's going to take the hit, going to take the fall if somebody or a group starts looking your way.
Mm. Speaking of the new era, do you have a plan for incorporating idols or advantages or journeys into your game, considering how big it is?
Yeah, my eyes are going to be open. I'm going to take any advantage that I can as soon as I get it, but I want it to be under the radar completely. I'm a firm believer that if you're going to have something of that ability in your pocket, you are the only one that needs to know about it. As soon as you start telling people that you have it, or you start one person, as soon as you leak it to one person, that thing's got to be gone. Either play it that night or ditch it. I mean, I it's created such a big target on people right away. And I mean, Hunter in the season that's playing right now, he found an idol. He did a wonderful job. It was under the radar 100%. And as soon as he told one person, 2 people found out, 3 people found out, a slew of people found out. And then what happened? It's the day that he told them is the day he went home.
Mm.
Find it, keep it, hide it.
What would you say is your most controversial Survivor opinion? What's your hottest take about a player or a season or the show in general?
So my hot take on it is I want to see some strong players make it to the end. I want that era of bring a goat with you, so that way it's a unanimous decision at the end and you got her locked in. I want that to kind of be gone. I don't know how it feel when put in the position, but at this point, I want to see some players make it to the end where there are some split votes. I'm kind of tired of seeing all the votes run one way and like this person gets everybody's vote, this person doesn't get a single vote. Like I want a real nail biter. I want the cast, I want like the viewers, I want the people that are sitting there to be chewing on their fingers like what the hell is about to happen? And then when it comes out, I want whoever's sitting in the final seats to feel like they've done something. I want them to have a couple votes. I want them to feel a bit accomplished, even though there's only going to be one winner in the end.
Last thing I want to ask, if you could pick a celebrity or a fictional character to come out as a loved one for a loved one's visit, you are all about family, but you can't pick your family. You're going with a fictional part of your family, I guess. Who are you bringing in? Why?
Man, that's a tough one. I would want to bring my fiance Shania. I would want her to see this. Her and I have been a part of each other's lives for a long time, and we've experienced so much personal growth together. We've done so much together, and we both kind of fuel one another when it comes time to personal growth. When she sees growth in me or I see growth in her and we experience new things, that lights us up, and it's an addictive thing. So if given the opportunity, I would want her to come out here and be a part of this. I would like to share my life with her, and I just want to share this adventure with her as much as possible.
Now, what about if it's someone outside of your family, like a celebrity or a fictional character, someone that you would never interact with real life, but you get the opportunity here?
I'd probably pick Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds, he's like one of my favorite actors out there. The dude is just hilarious. Like I have a hard time listening to him speak without smiling or preparing for a good laugh. It's, it's just, I think that he'd be a riot, and I just think that his personality would be a rip on this show.
And I think Jeff would love him Deadpool talking to the camera as well while he's out there the whole time.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine that?
Well, I loved you breaking the fourth wall to talk with me today, man. I mean, your kindness just absolutely emanates through the screen here, let alone, what we're about to see over the course of 26 days. I'm so excited for you. You'll get us all hopefully chewing on our fingers by the end as you're manifesting. And this was such a great chat, man. So great to get to meet and talk with you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Likewise. Well, you're all set. I wish you nothing but the best, obviously, and all the anticipation leading up to the big day. And can't wait to see what happens, man. Thanks so much again.
It's gonna be a blower.
All right, Mike. There you have it. Kyle Ostwald, and you think he's seen Deadpool versus Wolverine?
Yes, but I don't know if he's checked out any of the other news regarding Ryan Reynolds and his spouse.
Oh, I was gonna say, I heard Wolverine might have been on the steroids.
Oh no, yeah, that's not good. Don't want to be juicing on that stuff. I just want adamantium in the system. Nothing else.
Okay. All right. But Mike, Kyle just seems like a guy. What would have to go wrong for Kyle to not make the merge? What would have to happen?
Yeah, the only thing I could think is, okay, we're all going to vote for this one person, and that one person throws a vote onto Kyle because they don't really connect at all. And then Kyle gets idled out of the game. Because I agree, this is a man who is so pleasant seeming, so soft-spoken, has this really amiable personality. He talks in the preseason about the fact that the people he's not gelling with are just the people that are not giving him good energy. So he's clearly going to go along to get along. He does not necessarily seem like somebody, at least at the outset, to like stab you in the back immediately. And he's going to be someone that seems to be contributing to camp life, considering his experience in construction. All green flags to me for the pre-merge, Rob.
The man is willing to eat garbage. Nobody else in all these hundreds of interviews that have been done in the preseason over the years, nobody's ever like, you know what? I eat garbage.
Well, didn't Chris from Millennials versus Gen X do that one audition video?
Yeah, that was his audition video.
If only I had the chance to ask him about that. Should that be
Yeah.
a question next time? How much garbage would you eat to be on Survivor?
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. This is a guy that has been through a lot, and he is somebody who also really
Like
underlines.
dumpsters.
Yeah, exactly.
Been through a lot of dumpsters.
He has underlined this financial capacity that the show brings. That this is somebody, again, in the shades of Jesse, who he mentioned in this interview, get that
Yeah.
money, baby. He is someone who wants to play this game. He
Yeah.
loves the show, but he wants
Okay.
to first and foremost take this
All
money
right.
for his
Well,
family.
here's where this goes sideways. Okay. Just like, and then I'm going to channel Ronnie Barda. Okay. We'll get to channeling more in a little bit. Remember that, okay, he meets Elaine Stott, and he's like, she's going to win the game. She's like, she's got the best story. Look at her. She's like, hey, I want to fill my cup up. Let me stay. And that's it. Like, you hear this guy's story, and it's like, oh yeah, you can't let this guy get the final tribal council.
Yeah, it is interesting. When I asked him, will you share the story, namely the one of him having a child on the way, not to mention, again, the humble beginnings that he comes from. He talks in his 1-minute video on CBS about the fact that he grew up in a house with no running electricity. And then when he became a contractor, he tore down that house and now lives in it. I mean, write him the check already if he makes the final 3. So I would imagine, especially from this hyper-aware new era cast, it'll just be a matter of if not when they go after him.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. So I can't let that guy sniff the final tribal council.
But other than that, I don't really see a reason to get rid of him. I think he's going to be an incredibly loyal ally. Like, I know he vocalizes that he'll have to make moves in order to get done what needs to be done. But the fact of the matter is, he said that his kryptonite is the fact that he doesn't want to hurt people's feelings. And look, the new era does get criticized for maybe being a bit too touchy-feely sometimes, but still, it inevitably is going to hurt people's feelings.
He said he was vibing with a woman with a nose ring. Who's that?
Rob, I'm going to be completely candid. I have no earthly idea who Kyle was talking about with either one of those people.
Either one. The other person was like, yeah, the person is just like a really good energy. Like,
yeah,
okay,
like muscly, but not too muscly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have to look at my Tiana video. My first blush might make me think her, which would be great because they're on the same tribe.
Yeah. Okay. Bad vibes, people that are not smiling.
So that's Gabe.
Could be John Lovett.
John Lovett could be Gabe. Gabe could be another one. But I think once Gabe sort of like actually opens up and brings that energy to him, I mean, I can really see, again, Kyle getting along with everybody on this tribe. And maybe I think he could see a possible number 1 ally in the other person we're going to talk about right now.
Okay. All right. Anything else on Kyle?
I mean, I think that, it would be very fun to see Kyle sort of wear the black hat after a little while. That even from the preseason, he's being personified as like this skater looking dude. Again, sort of like the close enough welcome back Ian Rosenberger look to him. And similar to Ian, might have a little bit of struggles with the morality of the game. But listen, Jesse is someone who similarly had a lot of that weight on his shoulders coming in, and it allowed him to play an incredibly cutthroat game. And I do think it would be really interesting to see Kyle be able to make some moves and cut some people. Kyle, to me, seems like Cody, the way that he was like being perceived initially, right? Of like, this guy just he's a chill, aloha bro who's really fun. We don't need to worry about him whatsoever. It feels like that actually is just Kyle in general. And so it worked really well to Cody to a certain extent. We'll see if it's the same case for Kyle.
All right. We'll find out how Kyle does very close, very soon. We are only days away from the Survivor 47 premiere. We've got somebody else to talk about. We're going to talk about Sue, all right? A girl named Sue coming up when we get back right after this. All right, Mike. Sue Smey is here.
Sue Smey, what can you do, May? I love her. I had a great time talking with Sue. She's a very fun character.
She's very fun, and what a delight that we get to watch this person on our TV coming up, and computers and mobile devices coming up here in just a couple days.
Or perhaps watching it on a plane, because Sue Smey is 59 years old. She is a flight school owner from Putnam Valley, New York, and Yes, her story of getting up in the air comes at I would say maybe the later altitudes in her life, but she goes to show that she'll do anything she puts her mind to, including becoming a Survivor player.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
that,
I never
is that
thought
the
about years as altitude.
Yeah, that's my take on the later days, later altitudes.
Later altitudes. Okay. So when you're a baby, you're sea level.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just kind of working your way up slowly into the troposphere, and then when you're in the stratosphere, look out.
Yeah. All right. We've reached our cruising altitude, so feel free to start drinking, and you can vote. And in a little bit, we'll be able to let you rent a car.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wish pilots made that announcement. If we're at cruising altitude, just start drinking and voting away.
Yeah. All right. Pretty soon, I'm gonna leave the Earth's orbit.
Oh goodness. Well then, you can just drift off to parts unknown, Rob.
Yeah.
Planets are in your midst.
All right. So, Mike, let's go ahead and hear from Sue and come back and we'll talk about it.
Well, how are you
How
doing
are-
right now?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm so pumped to get the chance to
I
talk
know.
with you. Well, let's start with something nice and easy. Why don't you give me your name, age, and occupation?
Okay, my name is Sue Smey. I'm 58 years old, and by the end of filming, I will be 59. And what was the third question?
Well, what do you do for a living?
Oh, so I'm a pilot and I own my own flight school.
Interesting. How did that end up coming about?
I'm someone who is bored easily. I am always looking for adventure and something exciting to do. So in my 50s, I said, you know what? I'm going to just become a pilot. And with that, once I became the pilot, I just bought a few airplanes and I just opened my own flight school all by myself. Nothing from anybody else, no handouts. It's 100% mine. And I'm so damn proud of it.
And I would imagine that has taught you so much, right? About both independence and also the ability to maintain relationships and bring people in.
Well, the independence was probably the most important thing because I felt like my whole life I've always been a people pleaser, someone that I allowed them to make decisions for me. And I sort
Mm.
of, went with the flow, kept the peace. And I kept saying, I need my own identity. I need to make my decisions, make my mistakes even, but I needed to do something for me. And it's just been a world of difference of who I am and the person I am. And the aviation industry is very male dominated. So it
Mm.
has been difficult. I've had a lot of pushback with a lot of the males in the industry, but now I'm to the point where I do have a lot of respect and it feels really good.
Well, let's talk about what brought you from pilot school to the world of pilots and passengers in the form of Survivor. What's your history with Survivor? How long have you been watching the show, and what made you decide to take a very long flight out to Fiji?
So I fell in love with Survivor the very first episode that was aired. This was definitely something that is totally me. I love a challenge. I love the thought of having to figure out how to survive. And even back then, I knew I would be on the show one day. And at that time, my daughter, who was 7 years old, helped me make a video. I just never sent it in. And then um, she started getting sick. We didn't know what was wrong with her. It was a very difficult time in our lives. She
Hmm.
ended up being diagnosed with juvenile diabetes. Um, our world was turned upside down.
Oh my god.
Um, the only thing that really helped us and the good things through that time period was literally Jeff freaking coming into our living room and just taking us away from our horrifying reality just for those, 1 hour a week. And that's something that was like always so true to my heart. Fast forward to um season 45. My daughter now she's 30 years old. Every time an episode would air, she would text me and be like, Mom, you should do this. Mom, oh my God, Mom, you'd be so good at this. And it was almost like a reminder of that's who I was. That's who I always wanted to be. So her and I made my second video, but this time I mailed it in. And here I am. I'm here. So
Oh,
she definitely was my motivation to remind me to be who I was all these years.
wow. Well, I'm so glad that she's doing okay, and that it all
Oh,
comes full circle for you and
it
her.
does.
So
It,
obviously,
it,
as someone who has been watching for a long, long time, give me a Survivor winner and a non-winner who you identify with the most?
You're gonna think I'm weird, but Tony. I freaking love Tony, and I feel like maybe I'm the female version of Tony. I'm very like creative. I'm the someone that would, I know they're all scheming, and if I can figure out a way to listen to their conversations, find some way to figure out what everyone's saying and doing, I think it would help me in the game. And I believe Sari is a mastermind. She's someone that her thought process blows my mind, and she's definitely someone that I love to death.
What is one life experience you think has prepared you most for the game? Is it what we spoke about before of kind of branching out on your own to found this flight school?
No. I grew up, my family had a generational island, and we all spent our summers there. It was generations. My grandmother was born on the island. We're very poor. We didn't have hot water. So, when we needed to shower, we'd pour the shampoo in our hair, soap in our hand, run down to the water, wash up, come back. We didn't have drinkable water. So we would have to schlep a mile up the island with jugs, empty jugs, fill the water jugs,
This
bring
sounds
them
like a
back.
sweat challenge, basically.
It was. And we also, like it just, my grandparents had an outhouse. We lived rough, but that was just our norm. So to me, I know it's going to be tough on the island, but I'm not going to be so shocked as I think a lot of the other people are. But I've roughed it. I've lived a rough, in a good way, childhood and upbringing. So I feel I'm very experienced, and I'll be pretty comfortable, better than most.
Well, to that point, what would you say is your biggest superpower and your biggest piece of kryptonite that you're bringing into the game?
So my superpower is that I have the ability to stay within myself, and when I
Hmm.
do, I can move mountains. For example, I wake up every day and I think to myself, be where your feet are. So I'm not thinking about what happened yesterday. I'm not thinking about what's going to happen in another hour from now. I'm here with you, Mike Bloom, feeling honored and so blessed that I'm being interviewed by you in Fiji for the greatest show ever created. So to me, that's my superpower. Like I can be right here, right now, and I'm in love with what's happening at this very moment.
Now, what about your biggest piece of kryptonite? What do you think is that thing that maybe might send you head over heels talking about where your feet are?
Oh yeah, exactly. My kryptonite is my emotions. That's my favorite thing about myself. And I feel it shows how much I truly love and feel for everything. But when every time in my life that I've made a decision based on my emotions and not like my inner being and just like breaking off my emotions, they've always been 100% incorrect. So I'm going to always need to figure out how to get a hold of my emotions. I know when I'm tired, I know when stuff happens, I have to like check my emotions and make the decision based on what I feel is best, not how I'm really feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How do you think you're going to be perceived in this game? Because you are someone
Oh,
who is, I'm sure used to, as you talk about, being a woman in a male dominated field, like you're used to having eyes on you for being, judge preconceived notions. How do you anticipate that's going to come into play in Survivor?
well, I think that I'm the older lady, and they're not going to know what my real age is, but obviously they're already looking, saying, okay, this is the older lady. She's going to be the one who, I'm bubbly. They're going to think I'm ditzy, that like, I'm not really here. I'm just here for the fun of it or whatever. Little do they know, I aced the boards in the medical industry. I've aced the FAA exams in the aviation industry. And my greatest schooling is my street smarts. Again, school of hard knocks. I grew up in a difficult time, different era, and I've I'm very good. I feel like I'm very rounded in all of the aspect.
Well, let's turn those judgments around because you've been here for a few days. You haven't been able to talk, but I'm sure you've been gathering some thoughts watching
Yes.
these people around you. So let's start on the positive side. Who are some people that like you're getting good vibes from? That best case scenario, you hit the beach day one. These are some ride or dies for you.
Well, I'm definitely looking at the strong. Obviously, we need strength, and there's two gentlemen here. One is a little bit older, but he looks like a powerhouse. I feel like he looks like he's very controlled, very like a methodical thinker. I think he'd be a hard worker, and he's someone that I definitely would love to have on my, tribe. And then there's another tall gentleman with long dreads. He reminds me of like an MMA fighter or a boxer. Like he seems really badass. I think he's going to be really good in the challenges, and he's obviously, I'm sure everyone has brought him up because he's just big and strong and looks like he'd be very good. There's also another girl that she's got poof, like a big whole bunch of hair, very pretty. She's got a beautiful smile, seems very kind, but I feel like she's real badass. And I think that she's someone that I would love to be teamed up with too, because I think like we could work well together.
Now, how about on the opposite side? Is there anyone on your, for lack of a better term, no-fly list when it comes to
Yeah,
potential allies?
there's a few that like don't even look at you. I feel like they look scared, and I can't read them at all. And so when I can't read someone, it's something that like I would want to stay away from. I don't know if they're the type that would open up and want to be, like I don't know, it's hard to read these people, but any of them that aren't smiling and are just like stone faced, not my cup of tea.
Hmm. So, talk to me about, idols, advantages. You spoke about wanting to channel Tony. Is that going to play out with journeys and other things that are obviously such a big part of the new era?
I'm all in. I'm again, this could end tomorrow, right? So why would I hold back? I'm a challenger. I love competition. I will go for everything at all times. I'm not gonna sit back and be afraid. I've never lived afraid. I'm not gonna start now. So I'm gonna go for it all, and whatever happens, I'll be proud of myself for what I've accomplished.
What is your most controversial Survivor opinion? What's your hottest take about a player or a season or the show in general?
Think the one thing that I really don't like, and it's more just my own personal way feeling, is that the challenge where you're all under the water and your face is just up through the cage.
Yeah, last gasp.
Yes, I feel I could do that part, but being in the cold water for hours, I don't think I could handle it. Like I always run cold to begin with, and that's because I'm a scuba diver, and when I'm underwater for too long, my whole body gets too cold, and I have a wetsuit on, so I can't imagine, if it didn't last too long, I could do it. I feel like I could do it, but if it's hours, there's no way my body would be able to take it. So I
What
don't like.
is what is the main takeaway you're bringing from Survivor 45 and 46 into Survivor 47 that you're incorporating into your gameplay?
I'm definitely, if I get an idol, I believe that we all are going to have our alliances. I don't trust anybody. I understand that your number one is going to screw you over before everybody else does. So, depending on where we are in the game, I will play my idol because I don't want to go home with an idol. That's, and any challenges and everything we do, I'm going to push for all of us to be united and work together. But I'm not trusting one person. We're all going to be liars here, right? So me too. So I'm not taking any chances, and I don't want to go home with an idol.
Last thing I'm going to ask. If
Okay.
you could pick a celebrity or a fictional character to bring out as a loved one for a loved one's visit, who are you choosing and why?
Okay. So I would bring Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's the same thing with Daryl Anka and Bashar. I'm big into channelers, people, and they basically channel you to just be yourself, know you have the strength, believe in yourself. And that's probably what I would be wishing I had at when we're tired and run down and ready to just fall to the ground, that, just that inspiration of just like, there's a part of me that can do this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jeff Probst's motivation works, but it can only get you so far. Sometimes you need to bring in the professionals.
I need the professionals. Yes.
Well, this was such a delight. I feel motivated after,
Oh, thank you.
listening and talking about everything that you have done so far. It's clear you have a very stacked resume, and now you get to build a resume on Survivor. I am so excited to see what you're about to bring over the next 26 days. I know you've been sitting on pins and needles for the past little while, but I cannot wait to see once you talk about, being where your feet are, once your feet hit that sand, to see where you go from there.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, especially coming from you.
Oh, well,
appreciate
no, that means the world. It was so great getting to meet you and chat with you. I wish you nothing but the best in the days leading up and, of course, the days to follow. And yeah, I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Mike. There you go. Sue Smey.
There we go.
Don't ask her to play Last Gasp.
No, definitely not. Which I would say it's not even a cold take as cold as the water that she's in. Maybe slightly misunderstood the assignment of what a hot take was. But listen,
Yeah.
I'm grateful she answered the question.
Yeah. Look, I think that the history of Survivor is littered with colorful, older female characters.
Mhm.
Very excited Sue is here.
Sue reminds me, honestly, of a new era Jane Bright from Nicaragua. I think it's this idea of like this down to earth woman from humble beginnings.
Ironically, not down to earth.
Exactly, up in the sky, who lists as part of her hobbies that she loves like skiing and building outdoor fire pits, which I know makes her the favorite player of One Crazy Dave from Survivor China. And so I think that Sue is going to be somebody that endears herself immediately by being someone that is obviously going to work hard around camp. And much like Jane, who really, at least according to the edit, had like the cast in love with her. So many people are already in love with Sue, Rob. Finally, for your sake, we get to put the face to the name that a lot of people have been mentioning in these interviews, right? The older woman with the long blonde hair. She's so great. She has such a fun energy. I want to work with her. Gabe said she wants to immediately find her on day one on the beach. I think that Sue is going to be a very popular person to work with, especially in the pre-merge.
Well, so many Survivor players come in and everybody's so savvy about the game and maybe not so sweaty or savvy anymore. But
right. Which sucks for Sue because she grew up doing a sweat task, basically, the way she described it.
Understand the assignment and they're very much like, okay, well, I'm not gonna show anybody anything. Okay, I'm gonna keep my cards close to the vest. And then you have somebody like Sue who is just like authentically herself, can't be any other way. And I think that people are attracted to that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be somebody who, not to say that her personality, at least in the moment, seems to brush up against anybody, especially getting a sense from her tribe in particular. I don't really see any huge clashes going on, but I do think that Sue's openness, and again, the energy that she's presenting, even non-verbally, is something that a lot of people are picking up on. And so I do expect her, again, to fall in really well with this group. Gabe wanted to seek her out as a day one ally. I feel like for some reason, I just feel like she and Kyle are really going to get along together. Like, I feel like they're going to be maybe the workhorses of the tribe and just kind of value each other there. And listen, as a bit of a tease tomorrow, the next person we'll talk about, Tiana Hallams, wants to become a pilot.
Oh, wow.
So that is an in.
That can't be a coincidence.
That's a recommendation if I ever heard one. But what is so interesting, Rob, is again, going back to Jane, who, yes, seemed to be this like, Southern mom with a heart of gold on the surface, but was cooking her own fish and dumping out water on the fire behind the scenes. Sue calls herself the freaking female Tony. So we know that she is going to cause a lot of mischief as well behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, we love to see it. Love to see Sue bring some chaos to all of this. She says that she's got good vibes from an MMA person. Mike, who's the MMA person?
So this is TK. She talks about the man with braids. And so that is going to be someone who is also on her tribe. So I think, well, she talks about wanting to be strength forward. And it's really interesting because it actually reminds me of when I interviewed Julie Alley for season 45. And she said something very similar, right? Which was like, I know because of my demo, I could get targeted initially if we go to tribal early. So I want to make sure I work with strength to make sure that we get to the merge as a cohesive group. And then I'm surrounded by threats that could get taken out over me. Now, maybe the second part didn't work out so well for her because she was actually the threat out of that group, but it was a big strategy that she pursued. And it looks like Sue, I think, is thinking along the same lines of, again, she knows that she sticks out. She's trying to play up that role of like, you're all my children. I'm just here for a good time. And then hopefully for a long time. And so I imagine that she is going to be looking to the brawnier members of Tuku to not only work alongside, but then also be able to utilize them to keep her out of tribal council.
Okay. What about bad vibes? Scared people.
Scared people. I mean, it does seem like, again, Sue has this courage that she brings. She talks about that in my interview and in her video and bio as well. I mean, it does take a lot of courage to just change course, if you will, change flight paths, enter a industry that is incredibly male dominated, be looked down upon because of your gender, and then start your own business from
Mhm.
it. It's clear she has courage and bravery for days. And so I would imagine that she looks at those who are playing scared and is like, you have no time to do that at all. Just make the move. Don't think about it. No regrets.
Okay. All right. Mike, she's all in. We
She
are
is-
too.
We are as well. I mean, from that perspective, I could see a world where she does get caught a little red-handed, ironically enough, on the blue tribe. That, like, yes, she is being seen as like the fun granola lady or MILF or whatever you want to use to typify her, as these players have, to be part of an alliance with.
Who
And
called her MILF?
that was Sierra, right? Sierra called her a
Okay.
MILF.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, wait, she actually has an idol. Oh, she can be dangerous. Again, maybe it's just because I have Julie kind of reverberating in my mind
Mhm.
from that perspective. So I think Sue has a chance to go well and do far, as I mix up those two phrases. But I also think that there is a chance where she ends up getting comfortably into the post-merge. But then either everyone looks at her and says, oh, everyone loves Sue, we can't take her to the end. Or it's like, wait a minute, Sue just tried to pull off this big move, Sue's big move, if you will, and it falls short. Now we have to take her out.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if Sue is, and we've talked about this a lot over the years. It's like a very interesting, like, meta conversation of like the older woman on Survivor, later days. Is she seen as the mom, or is she seen as sort of like a tough old gal?
Well,
And I think she's going to have more of the, tough old gal, more so than that we saw last season with Maria. I'm driving the minivan. I'm the, that I don't think anybody's going to be calling her Mama Sue. Cut to when they all call her that. But I think that that's the better way to go.
Yeah, I would agree as well. Though I do think Julie and Maria, though they didn't end up going to the end, I think the narrative is if they had both gone to the end, they would have won, which is maybe a bit pushing up against, again, that kind of perception we've seen of these mother types making it to the end. So, well, we'll see. I do agree that I think the persona that Sue gives off is more of that, like, that tough perspective, but still, I think having some sensitivity in her heart as well, and openness to making relationships. So right now, I think she's flying high coming into the season, and we will see if a crash is inevitably coming.
All right. Got a little dark at the end. All right. May just say, how about like let's see if there's some turbulence.
Let's see if it's a bumpy landing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So robisawebsite.com/subscribe is closed. We're not taking any new subscribers anymore. Very sorry about that. Hopefully you got in. If not, Survivor 48 is coming this spring to CBS.
Go
Mike,
hibernate.
What's coming up for you?
Yeah, so still doing these over parade.com, finishing off with the Lavo Tribe, which we started off with. So if you want written versions of nearly all those interviews, check it out, because Rob, we are but one day away from finishing this entire stretch of preseason press before we look ahead to the premiere proper.
All right, Mike, who is coming up in the finale of our Survivor 47 previews?
Well, it's truly an explosive finale because we've got T and TK. It is Tiana, the first Hawaiian residing in Hawaii on the show, as well as the aforementioned person who wanted to become a pilot, possibly falling in line with a nice teacher there, and TK, who is the quote-unquote MMA fighter. So we'll talk about them as per usual. We'll also talk about taking a full look at Tuku, seeing what the initial dynamics might be, and maybe I'll get my winner pick at the end of that, and we'll wrap up the whole dang thing, Rob.
You got the winner pick locked in?
I think I've got it locked in, yeah. Now, officially, after reviewing everything and getting some extra materials as well, I think my mind has coalesced around a name, and we shall see what that name will be tomorrow.
All right, so a lot to look forward to, and of course, hope to see you back for one more day of our Survivor 47 previews. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.